Ha! Yowza, yowza, yowza. Hey folks, I just wanted to reach out today and check in with you. I got a boo-boo. So yesterday was the first time I really felt old, like physically old. I'm not young. I'm not young, but I joke around about being this old guy, but yesterday I was an old guy. I I was in the camper van, drove the camper van yesterday, hadn't driven it in a while, and it drove really well, no problems. But then I wanted to make sure that the solar was still contributing to the house batteries and all that stuff was functional, right? It was a curiosity thing. And so I had opened up the back doors, but I didn't open up the back doors. I opened up one of the back doors right by where the sofa sleeper is. And I'd climbed up into the back of the van and just made sure that the charging system was hooked up to solar and that everything was working. Good news. Good news. It was. But then I went to exit the van out that back door, and it's kind of at a weird angle. And my rear bumper has that like a graded meshed pattern in it. It's like a traction pattern, right? And I'm wearing these new sneakers that have a lot of traction, and like my shoe kind of got stuck on it, if I'm describing this correctly. So as I was stepping out of the back of the van at a weird angle and trying to maneuver myself down to the ground, my foot didn't slide or move when my body thought it should slide or move, and I ended up falling out of the back of the van. I got to bring this up closer there. So I ended up falling out of the van. I mean, like a feeble old person. Help, I've fallen and I can't get up. And I made some weird noises, and my son was right there. He's 16. He was right there. And he kind of had that panic, like, oh, crud, dad's really hurt. I heard a noise and I thought that something in my foot had broke. And so I heard the noise. I thought something was broke. And at first things weren't working. And I don't feel pain right away like some people do. For me, the adrenaline takes over and I don't feel any. If I'm hurt bad, it doesn't hurt at all. And this kind of hurt. So I was like, maybe I'm really not hurt. Um, but then things started to get hot. My knee got hot. My ankle got hot, and so I just sat there for a little bit in the backyard and took inventory as you do. So I took inventory, right? Can I move my toes? Can I move my foot? Can I move my ankle? Can I move my knee? And it was painful, but I was able to move. So then after a couple of minutes of this, I decided to get up and see if I could sustain some body weight on my leg. And it was painful, but I was able to do it. And I was able to limp into the house. And I'm not going to say this is the first time this has ever happened in my life. It's certainly not the first time I've been injured. But I'm getting older. It was kind of a wake up call, like out of nowhere, something crazy can happen. And that's kind of the title of this video, right? In just a microsecond, in less than a second, things can change. You know, it was like, hey, everything's fine. The solar's working. Everything's great. And it was just like that. And I'm on the ground. Now, I could have hit my head on a rock. I could have, we could go down this list of anything that could have happened. The idea that I am sitting here, I usually don't see me in this position, do you? I got my Paisley shirt on, and I'm kind of leaning back a little bit. I got my foot up with ice on it, and that's why I'm sitting at a weird angle here. But I got my foot up. I got ice on my ankle. I'm icing down my knee intermittently. I've sprained the ankle for sure. There might be something broken in the foot, but I told my wife, you got like 33, 35 bones in your foot. I'm sure a couple of them got to be extras. So let's not worry about it. Let's just see how things feel after a few days. And there's a little bit of swelling and stuff like that. But for the most part, I think I'm going to come around the other side of this. But I can't help but think when these things happen, and I consult with a lot of businesses, you got to remember, I've been consulting with businesses now for, I mean, we're going on 2 decades or better when you really think about how I've worked with entrepreneurs and people in their spaces. And it's always interesting to me to see the way people react to situations, to challenges. And this was just another one of those. Hold on, I got to move this. There we go. There we go. This was just another one of those instances where I felt kind of prepared, although, are you really? And so I put here in just a microsecond. In just a microsecond, everything can change. So, how do you deal with these challenges? How do you deal with things that creep up or go wrong or, kind of jump in and take over everything at that moment? Do you have a contingency plan? Have you planned forward? Does somebody have your usernames and passwords to get into things like bank accounts, hosting accounts, website administration accounts? Do you have people in your back pocket that you can activate when things go wrong? It's a very fair question, super fair question, and one that I put out to you today. For instance, I work with the Marine Retailers Association. I am one of their certification consultants. So I have a group of dealerships now that I'm running through the certification process. And tomorrow is session 7 of that process. Now, let's say I didn't just sprain my ankle. Let's say it was something more serious. Does the MRAA have an exit plan? Do they have a contingency plan? Do they have people that could step in if Kurt gets hurt? The answer is yes. They're prepared. They've been doing this for like 18 years. They've got a team of people that can swing in if needed and take over. Will it be as good? Will it be up to standard? Will it be? No, you might lose. You might lose a couple pieces, but the game can still be played, right? And that's kind of what I'm getting at here today. It just takes a microsecond for things to go wickety whack. A strange diagnosis at the doctor, a car accident, servers go down, an EMP, terrorism pulse, something. It just takes a second or less for things to change. And when those changes come, how prepared are you? So I'm going to submit this to you. My son, again, who's only 16, he has access to dad's passwords, dad's accounts. He understands how my LinkedIn account works. He understands how some of my automation tools work. He understands how the server works that I've got 38, I think, 38 websites on. And he understands how that works. So something happens to me, he can step in. Crazy as this sounds, he can step in as a project manager, reach out to the other people on my team and say, hey, bad news, dad got hurt. Bad news, dad's in the hospital. Bad news, dad's no longer with us. But he can reach out to those team members and he can say, hey, what are you on right now? What do you need access to? How can I help you support this and finish this up for this client? And then, of course, my wife has access to all of the financials. There are no secrets as far as the financials go. So, are we as safe or as backed up as I would like to be? I'm going to tell you the truth. The truth is no. No. My agency still has a little bit of growth to go through, a little bit of staff to add, and I'd like to add a permanent location to our agency profile. I know in the world of everybody wants to work remote, that sounds like such a cool thing. But I want to have a designated location as its forever home, which is going to be here in Kansas. So I'm going to set all that up over the next year. We'll get that set up. We'll have a contingency plan put in place. It'll be part of our PMP guide, procedures and processes, right? Process and procedure guide. And I just got to reach out to you now through this inspiration and say, if you were to fall down and get hurt, If you were to be taken out of action for any length of time, whether it is a corporate position or you are, working for yourself, what contingency plan do you have in place to make sure that the revenue can keep coming and that your family is handled, or that your house continues to get paid for, or that the internet stays connected or the lights stay on? And that, dear friends, is kind of where I wanted to focus on. Now, talking about assets, what if you make an evergreen asset like I have on Udemy? Hey, that's something I can share. Let me go to added stage. We will go here to grow the course in Udemy. Check this out. Check this out. This is the new course that I have put on Udemy, Grow Your LinkedIn Without Spamming Your Targets. We've got all of the lessons over here. So about the author, you already know me. Who's the course for? For smaller neglected accounts. LinkedIn's not the biggest. It's for like-minded professionals. It's a great source of education. Succeed with targeted penetration. Organic growth. So that's my favorite way to grow LinkedIn. You could hire a VA, hire an agency. You could automate the thing. And then what are some of the most common mistakes? So I've got 14 lessons in there. I've loaded this up on Udemy. It's available for $19.99 or $19.95, something like that on the Udemy platform. And this is just one of those evergreen tools when I say, hey, it just takes a second for things to go south. It just takes a second for things to go bad. And so what do you have in place? So in my situation, I've got some evergreen tools made, like that Udemy course I just showed you, like a couple of WordPress websites that generate not a lot, but a little bit of income here and there. And like I said, there are other people in my life that have access to the finances and can take those over if something happens to me. And I've got other people that have access to client data and server information so that they can take over if something happens to me. And so that said, when you run a full service agency, that's part of the obligation, is making sure no matter what, somebody is there to serve the client. And that's the way I look at the difference between freelancing to me and running an agency. Freelancing, it's me. You've hired Kurt. Kurt's going to make it happen. Kurt gets hit by a bus. You're out of luck. I mean, that's kind of like what it is. To me, that's what freelancing is. You hire the person, and, provided no acts of God take over, everything works out. However, something could go wrong. With an agency, things are a little different. As soon as you call yourself an agency and say that you have a team of people to do things, well, then there's kind of that, I'll pay a little bit more for the agency experience because I know I've got more than one brain working on my project, and I've got, kind of a reassurance that there is going to be an end. I know that we're going to get to the end of the project because there's a team of people and not just one person that it's dependent upon. And so with that, folks, I am going to thank you for your time. I hope that you're having a wonderful, wonderful week. It's only Tuesday, and man, we got a lot of things working. I'll talk to you later. Have yourself a good one. Bye-bye.